Do you remember the green cross code and the road safety messages of that talking red squirrel, tufty, fluffy tail? Stop, look, listen. 3 steps to be followed every time you cross a road. Such a phrase can become a powerful message which captures the imagination, changes attitudes, and transforms lives. More recently, Me Too and Black Lives Matter have challenged behaviours, changed lives, and strengthened community. The words of Jesus captured the imagination of his hearers. Most would leave remembering them. A few would even leave committed to following his way. Some of the uncommitted would reflect on what he had said and later realise that his message was leading them along the path of discipleship. And many will have left unmoved by the message and returned to their regular habits. The Gospel reading for today is the parable of the sower. Jesus had to teach in parables so that those for whom he was just too radical, who would never listen to direct instruction from Jesus, might yet enjoy his parables as stories. The particular story Jesus told them was not exactly what they were expecting. It was not a story about God restoring Israel to its prophesied glorious future. They were looking for one to lead them in God's work of overcoming their enemies, the occupying powers. Was this prophet going to issue a call to arms? The story he did tell them was in fact one of both failure and success. It was cryptic. When Jesus said, "If you have ears, then hear," he was alerting them and us to the fact that we all have to think about what he is saying in order to relate it in our own experience, to struggle with placing it in our own lives. Stop, look, listen. Stop for a moment and take a deep breath. Stand back from the frantic activity in which, even through lockdown, so many of us immerse ourselves. Look and see the people, places, and situations which are there day by day, but which we are too preoccupied to notice for most of the time. Listen, that you might hear God's word for you and the context in which you find yourself. In this parable, Jesus was speaking to a crowd who knew about hill farming and the disastrous consequences of a poor harvest. He would have grabbed their attention as they wondered at the wantonly wasteful approach of the sower, while they would be hoping that Jesus would tell them the secret of reaping 100-fold yield at harvest time. Jesus was pointing his hearers to the fact that the kingdom for which they were longing and praying was emerging all around them. Where God's will is sovereign, and where his justice, love, peace, forgiveness, and healing overcome the fear which gripped them as they looked to an uncertain future. That kingdom's growth was patchy. It was not easily seen in every place, and many had been unmoved by its power to transform. To be profoundly changed, that message had to be embedded in heart and mind. And so it is for us today. There are those who will sneer at the message, and others who will seem to be enthusiastic, but when the gospel starts to make demands on them, will drift away because the word was never deeply in their hearts. Others will have a deep-seated hearing of the word, but then allow other things to take roots in their hearts as well, like thorns which choke the delicate shoots of the word. In order to receive the promise of the 100-fold yield at harvest time, to be the seed that really does bear fruit, and fruit that will last, our hearing must be such that it becomes deep listening. We will need to do some weeding and clearing of stones in the gardens of our souls, so that the word can take root and not become choked. It would be easy to be pessimistic about the world, about the church, and about ourselves, to insist, so to speak, that every silver lining has a cloud, that human beings will always take the selfish option, that whatever comfort religion might bring, it makes no difference in the world. That would be easy, but it is untrue. These months of lockdown have shown us that humanity is made for relationship, demonstrated in so many generous and unselfish acts of neighbourly kindness. In spite of being unable to meet in person, the Church has been a powerful expression of community, online and through telephone and other communications. As we begin to emerge from lockdown, we may feel like the vulnerable shoots which the seed of that parable was producing. We will need to pay attention to ourselves and to those around us, so that we are ready to hear, to take to heart, and to act on God's word for us today. Remember those words of Tufty: stop, look, and listen.